Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here, and I am back for another video update video, event video, kind of a combination of each, a little bit of everything here this time. So, a lot to jump into. Let's just get right into it here. First, just a quick channel update. Things are going well on the channel. Plenty of good video content to come. Again, thank you to everybody who has been watching the videos, subscribe to the channel. I see a lot of people are still discovering it, which is cool. That's awesome. I've been getting several good comments in some of the videos as well, a few questions here and there. So thank you for your support on all of that. For anyone who is new, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Mondays are typically devoted to stream archives, be they Twitch or, formerly Mixer, but now it's all Twitch. And, sometimes there'll be timely streams, like if something really cool comes out and I cover something like an event or a really cool accessible game, something like that. But usually I just, as I do streams, usually on the weekends, I will upload them and just kind of release them every Monday. And then Wednesday and Saturday is everything else. So it could be VR, could be low vision games, could be accessible games, could be mobile, PC, and even a little bit of console here and there. So speaking of upcoming things and streams and such, so this last weekend I did 3 different streams for a recently released audio game called The Veil. Shout out to Falling Squirrels on the success of their game. It is available on Xbox and PC, so you can take your pick, play it however you wish. I did play the PC version with an Xbox controller, and I did beat it, and I really enjoyed it. We had a little bit of a bug there during the second stream, but they quickly resolved that, and I was able to finish it, I think it was this past Saturday. So those are all recorded, and those will be unlocked. I think what I might do is one idea, haven't committed to it yet, but one potential idea that I had is to kind of spread out that game a little bit, because I was thinking about doing the first Monday of the next 3 months, I could release a Veil stream. And the reason I want to spread it out like that, and yeah, I could do the next 3 as the Veil or whatever, but I kind of want to spread them out because, just A, for variety's sake, but B, this is an accessible game, and if I were to, say, release the first part in September, the first Monday in September, people could watch that, and get interested in the game if they missed me on Twitch, because I get a lot more viewers and stuff on the YouTube channel than I do on Twitch. So I'll release part 1, but I really want to incentivize people to go out and play the game, buy the game, and play the game for themselves. I remember even, shout out to Blind Toes. He was there several times throughout the streams, and other viewers were as well. Thanks for stopping in, by the way. And, they were thinking, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. I think I might. And then I was playing through, and, the longer I got in, he's like, all right, you sold it. Okay, I have to play this, and playing a game is not the same as watching somebody else play it, especially because in this game, yes, it's a linear game, but there are little different branching paths here and there. You can make different decisions. You can get different types of equipment. I generally tended toward the lighter, faster build after trying a heavier weapon and armor set for a short time and not doing so well. So that was kind of my deal. But yeah, I'm toying with that idea. The first Monday of September, October, and then November. Spread it out a little bit because, you'll get to see the full playthrough eventually. But again, especially if you can't wait, and if you want to support, people complain there aren't enough accessible games. Let's support these guys, buy the game, I'm thinking I might actually pick it up on Xbox too, just to show support that, we don't have audio games on consoles typically. I mean, we get things like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter that people can kind of just incidentally play. But a full-blown audio game, yeah, I'm more than likely going to double dip, and I'm going to buy that on the Xbox because A, it's a fun game, and B, I want to support an accessible game on console. So, heck yeah. So there's that. You can watch them on Twitch until they disappear. Twitch videos only last for like a couple of weeks, so you may be able to catch the archives there if you really want to. But they will be archived to the channel eventually. So there's that. Yeah, so I haven't released these yet, but remember I was mentioning consoles. I still need to cover some more PS5 games, especially Ratchet and Clank and probably a couple other ones here and there. I still have to play Returnal. I just haven't had time yet. But in addition to that, I got a little gizmo that I'm going to do a hardware review on some point in the near future here. I may be able to cover a few Switch titles here and there because I found a cheap little device that'll get the job done, and I have already captured a little bit of Switch footage to my computer, so yeah. There's a hardware review that's coming up in the fairly near future here. I'm not quite sure when. But I may be able to cover some Switch titles. And with Nintendo's old NES and Super Nintendo online options, or the retro games, maybe I'll do, maybe when I get time I can start another series, kind of a retro NES, SNES, hopefully eventually Game Boy or N64 if they ever put those up. But, Nintendo's online or lack thereof, or I mean, come on, at this point Xbox is doing a better job at preserving their back catalog in a legal buying form than Nintendo is. I mean, good lord, that's with all the gems that Nintendo has in the last 30-40 years. That's saying something. But yeah, so some Switch content possibly coming in the fairly near future as well when I get time to do some of that. A lot of upcoming games this fall, a lot of indies, a lot of shooters, few AAA games. I'm really interested in the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully I'll be able to run that on my PC. I don't think they've released the specs for that needed for that game yet, but I'm kind of digging this Riders Republic thing. I don't think I'm going to have time to really play the public demo that's going to be in the next couple of days here. It's live now as I'm recording this, but it's only going to be for a few days here, so I might just wait. But the footage I've seen and just being able to openly explore and try these different events, it looks fun. Looking forward to that. But like I said, there's a lot of these indie titles, a lot of these first-person shooters, a lot of these retro shooters that are either coming out in early access or being fully released. We've got some demos here. There's just going to be a scattering of games the rest of the year, and there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up. Psychonauts 2 is out for Xbox and PC, which reminds me I have to actually queue that download, because I would like to check that out. There is some... I wouldn't call it blind accessible, but I've heard that there are a few accessibility features in it, some of which may help me as a low vision user. So maybe we'll take a look at that at some point. I do also want to shout out the developer for Project Warlock 2. I did a Kickstarted video on that, was it earlier this week? And that, you can go back them on Kickstarter. The shooter looks and plays great already, but they just released a patch, I believe today, late yesterday or today. And one of the main issues that a lot of us had, even I've seen a couple of mainstream games press or videos talk about, the game was just a wee bit on the dark side. They did already an overhaul on their lighting a little bit, and it is much easier to see. It is much easier to see. So that's a really quick turnaround. I mean, it looked cool already, but now some of the like power-ups and stuff are just a lot easier to see in the environment. So kudos to them. That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, so as far as covering the games that are coming out, I know there's games that have come out already, Ratchet and Clank, and some of these other ones. It's kind of a combination of like what I have time for, what I'm in the mood for playing, what I've even bothered to purchase. Because occasionally I will get a code for a mainstream game or an audio game. Like I got a couple Ubisoft games last year. I've gotten a couple accessible games over the past few years, and I do let you guys know when I do get those, just to be transparent about that kind of a thing. But I'm not like a lot of these other websites, even mainstream or accessible, that are coming out now, where I don't super often get free review codes. So, if people are wondering, well, why don't you release videos a day or two or three before the game comes out, like a lot of these other sites do, even sites like, Can I Play That, or a couple of other blind low vision YouTubers and stuff that you see. I am not quite that in yet. So, I'm still the vast majority of content that you see, be it hardware, software, games, that's me, man. I buy the vast majority of what you see on this channel. So yeah, going back and looking at all these videos, don't even just thinking about how much money I've spent on this hobby / addiction / advocacy journey. We're not even going to think about that, because then it'll make me very, very sad. But that's the spiel. So some of this stuff I will probably get to eventually, but it's just a matter of like prioritization and buying it and being in the mood to play it and record it, and day job, other commitments, and all kinds of other things. Speaking of those other commitments, before I do that, one other thing I wanted to mention that happened also earlier this week. God, man, we got like Quake Remaster last weekend for QuakeCon, and then a couple days later, I didn't even know it was going to be a thing so soon. I was going through my YouTube feed, and I saw, shout out to Mr. Alan D1, my brother. All right, man. I saw a video from him. There is already a Toby Doom accessible mod, Map Pack 2, based on episode 2 of the original Doom. So I grabbed it. I will probably stream it sometime in the next near future. So yeah, we have basically, 14 levels of accessible Doom now. And I know a certain person that is probably really jealous right now, or really, or would love to be able to play it. I know a lot of people would, but I'm just thinking, I know one person in particular, but like, it's so cool. Like the fact that we actually have, and even at Realms Deep, we've had so many of these retro shooters. Some of them are even based off of like the GZ Doom engine, brand new games. So the GZ Doom engine is still perfectly relevant for mainstream. And now we've gotten 2 episodes of Doom content that is blind playable. God, man, I would love to see. I should email Alan again and be like, hey, is there any way that you could kind of share this? Like, since it works on GZ Doom, could this be plugged into, if once you got the engine, once you got the stuff figured out for all the things that are needed, could that sort of Toby code base be easily applied? Could he make that available to other GZ Doom game and mod developers, to where not just Doom, but a lot of these other mods could maybe possibly work, especially the ones that are currently in development. Maybe not some of the ones that are already out there, but since there are still games being developed in this environment, could that happen? And I don't see why it couldn't, really. So yeah, more Doom, more GZ Doom. Hell yeah, bring it on. But what I was originally kind of going toward with, all the time and everything, aside from the channel, just keeping really busy. Like a lot of stuff going on with the day job right now. And I've done a few other podcast appearances here and there, and I'll be doing a few more. I think I mentioned this in last time I did a channel update video. I am now a regular co-host of the Tech Abilities podcast, a little spin-off of the Blind Abilities podcast, which many of you may follow. So they're out about every 2 weeks or so. So I'm a regular co-host there now. That's pretty fun. Shout out to Theory of a Blind Man. Hope you're doing well, man. Glad to see things are going better for you, and glad to see you finally found your Swamp multiplayer. I know he was looking for that forever, so that's cool. But I was on a show of his a week or two ago now, and we talked a little bit of gaming and VR and just accessibility right before the Veil had come out. So you can check that episode out. And yeah, so I might be on another Blind Abilities podcast here coming up, talking about another accessible game that's already out, but a lot of people seem to be hooked on, but that's all I will tease right now because we don't have the plans totally solidified just yet. So I will just tease it at that. You'll have to follow me on Twitter, and I will also let you know there when if I do that. So yeah, keeping busy, doing some XR Access stuff, doing some Microsoft stuff, a few other projects here and there. So yeah, definitely keeping busy. Still doing the drumming thing about usually every day. So having a blast with that. Yep, keeping busy. So I want to talk a little bit about Gamescom because I just had that on during lunch and while I was working this afternoon for a couple hours. But I want to talk about a couple of other serious topics first. Kind of get some ugly stuff out of the way first. So I had sort of heard that this has kind of been going around. I haven't really experienced it yet myself personally, which I'm thankful for, but I totally feel for everybody else who is, because it would just not only drive me nuts, but there's just no excuse for it. So when I'm streaming, I've gotten a couple of these messages where in the chat where people will just spam like, "Hey, get followers" or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's just garbage. I'll just ignore that. But there's a thing I guess going on, especially with like disabled streamers and people, any kind of minority, essentially. Like if you're, not even a minority, but just certain groups that people are seeming to be targeting. These hate raids, as they're calling them. So, you can raid, let's say that you're streaming and then you're done. You can raid, you and your viewers can raid another stream, and that way, you can show your support for another stream that you like. And I've been raided once or twice, which is really cool. And usually it's a good thing, but apparently some idiots just, I don't know, they're dumb, and they are doing these hate raids. So they're targeting people, they're targeting women, people with disabilities, African American, I don't know. There's just probably LGBTQ, whatever. I guess they're targeting all kinds of people. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've heard of it happening. So there's kind of been this discussion about, well, I think it's, like September 1st or something. People are thinking about doing some kind of like a Twitch boycott thing just to show, hey, this isn't, try to get Twitch to do something. And I totally get what they're going for, but I don't know if that could be one way to do it. I almost wonder because, I don't know if they'll really notice. Unless you really, really publicize it to where Twitch can't ignore it, I don't know that they're going to really catch on to that message super well. another alternative that was proposed was basically doing a kind of a unified stream, giving your stream the same title, and then, either playing games or talking about these issues, that kind of a thing, and kind of having this united front of people saying, hey, let's get Twitch's attention by streaming, and bringing up that that something has to be done about these hate raids and inappropriate behavior and stuff like that. So having them clamp down on that. So those are a couple of the things that are sort of going on right now. I'm not, like I said, I only really stream on the weekends. I've done it a fair bit more the last few weeks, but not near as much as a lot of other people do. But I just wanted to really bring that to other people's attention. And, I'd like to think that my followers aren't participating in that nonsense. And if they are, definitely stop, obviously. I don't get why people have to go into places and just be rude and hateful and all that kind of stuff. And in relation to that, there's a couple of people that are... I see what they're trying to do, and I totally get it, but at the same time, there's a couple of people that have been with advocacy, and they're really, in some ways, not really helping the case. I mean, being really, if you have an opinion that is different from somebody else, that's totally fine. And it's totally fine to say that you have a different opinion. But going out there and just, calling everyone fucktards or dumb fucks or whatever they were doing, I mean, is that really helping? You're telling people to not engage in hate speech and hate raids, and then you're basically calling people fucking idiots and stuff. That's not helping. I mean, that's not being you can criticize, you can give suggestions, you can disagree, you can do all that constructively, and you can be fairly abrupt. You can say, I mean, but you don't have to be a prick about it, really. That's basically what I'm getting around to. Because that's not helping. You're totally free to disagree. You're totally free to have a different opinion and post that opinion. That's fine. But you don't have to be a dick about it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Other than I hope that behavior, I hope that that's not how you're talking to developers, because if I were a developer and you were approaching me about my game that way, I probably wouldn't listen to you. I probably would tell you to fuck off, or I just would ignore you, because if that's the way, like I said, if you don't like something, if you find something is broken, if you disagree with something, that's fine, but you don't have to be a dink about it. And that's all I'm going to say. So moving on to more happier content. Let's see. What else to do? I had to actually write things down because there's so much crap I wanted to talk about today. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I covered that. Oh, yeah, and then yesterday, so we're kind of moving into the whole GamesCom weekend or week here. And, this is an annual event. Usually it's live in Germany, Cologne, Germany. But of course, due to everything in the world the last couple of years, it is still virtual. And Microsoft had their event yesterday. A few announcements. I don't really remember too much about it. I mean, Forza looks really, really impressive. I'm just hoping that the lines and stuff and some of the mapping and everything, I hope there's text-to-speech in some of the menus. I hope that the little arrows on the, on the different weather conditions when you have the driving lines on the road, I hope that they're easily visually discernible, because that was one thing I had a little bit of trouble with in past Forza games. I liked the lines were there, but depending on the lighting and the shadows and lens flare and weather, I would find that some roads or some surfaces, sometimes you really couldn't see the line super well. So, it looks like a fun place to drive around, and it's on Game Pass, so there's no harm in trying it. But I do hope that that they are working on implementing additional accessibility, which I have not really heard anything about yet. But yeah, I mean, they had their event, and they did have an audio described version, which is good. I give them credit for that. But I don't think they really did it super well this time. Like, Ubisoft did it pretty well earlier this summer. And even prior Microsoft streams, I think, have been a little bit better. Like, one particular example they had early on was this Xbox Game Pass, kind of a sizzle reel that had a variety of different games showing, and a lot of them looked interesting, but everything is zipping by so fast that I'm like, oh, well, unless I came back and watched it later and paused it during all of the logos and stuff, I can't keep up and I can't read all of the games, that were announced in those trailers. And that reel, like, they said like one or two sentences, and then it just stopped. And so there was no real description at all, and I didn't really know what a lot of those games were, if they were out, if they were coming out, or but some of them looked interesting. And the rest of it, there really wasn't a whole lot of description. I mean, there was a lot of like talking between the co-hosts and guests and things, so that was okay, because you get that obviously. But for like the trailers or gameplay stuff, it was there, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it great for that kind of a thing. So hopefully Microsoft can do better. I mean, I know they're doing accessibility stuff. I know they're working on it, but it was a little bit misleading because there was description, but it really was kind of hit and miss for that. So I'll just go meh. We'll leave it at that. And then today we had Jeff Keighley's opening night event. Of course, being in Germany, it was evening there, but it was like lunchtime here. And I'm just going to run through some of the games that were announced and give a few thoughts here and there. I mean, there were a few announcements for games that we didn't know about, that kind of a thing, but a lot of it was just updates and things that we've heard about before. We got a few release dates on things, some of which I'm kind of sad about because I was hoping they were going to come out sooner, but we'll get to that. There's this action-y game called 9 to 5. Didn't get to see a lot of that, but that was kind of a new thing. It was like this 3-on-3-on-3 shooter, I think. Don't know a whole lot about the premise or like what the gameplay is, but it sounded intriguing. That was during their pre-show, so they had a half an hour pre-show, a few exclusive trailers, which weren't too bad. But the stuff in between, the banter in between, you kind of just got to stop that. That just, I mean, it's not really that entertaining. He was a fine host, but the script, the stuff that they were doing, like, oh, the top 10 dumb reasons for for this or whatever. It just, I don't know. It didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. Let's see. Oh yes, King of Fighters 15. I had no clue they were up to that many. It's a neat looking game. It looks really sharp, but I've never been much into tag team fighters. I've just never really gotten into that too much. They did a trailer for that. Nobody Saves the World. I'm trying to remember what that one was. It was kind of weird. I don't remember exactly what that one was because they showed so many games. Soundfall looked kind of interesting. It almost looked like it was an overhead thing, and it kind of looked like a Crypt of the Necrodancer. The high, like either that or like the Legend of Zelda one that came out on Switch a couple of years ago. I'm kind of curious to see what that's like. But Soundfall looks kind of neat. Saints Row, yeah, they're doing a reboot of the series. I'm not sure if it's going to be quite as just over the top nuts as 3 and 4. I mean, it's going to be over the top. Like, you can tell by the trailer. They had a story trailer. They, showed some gangs. They showed some people. They got a new city, new characters, that kind of a thing, and it looked good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what the tone's going to be. They really didn't show any gameplay. It's funny. They showed the trailer and then like, we're going to show you a quick tease of gameplay. And this is one trend I got to say that I'm kind of getting tired of. Like, they say something is a gameplay trailer, and you might get 2 to 3 seconds of gameplay. Like, maybe you'll show like a quick, oh, somebody zoomed down a scope or something. But all the other stuff is like in-engine, like, pre-rendered, or it's like not pre-rendered, but it's like, cutscene animations or like things that aren't actually gameplay, but that sort of lead into it in engine. So it's not pre-rendered, but it's not quite gameplay. It's sort of in between, and there was a lot of that at E3 this year where they called something gameplay, but it largely wasn't. I don't like that because it's misleading. But I am looking forward to seeing what that is like, because Saints Row 3 and 4, ooh, I played a lot of those games. Those were good. So I'm very curious. They got a 2022 release date. Theoretically, don't know how far along in development it is. So, who knows if it comes out next year or not. But nevertheless, I'm looking forward to it. Midnight Suns, Marvel. Yeah, this looks kind of cool. Got some existing Marvel characters, got a new character that they made just for the game. It's supposed to be some sort of like an RPG. Like I said, since it's an RPG, I would really be curious if there was going to be any kind of accessibility in it. I guess they're going to do a gameplay reveal on September 1st. We really didn't see any gameplay, but the style of it and, everything, it looked and sounded great. So I'm curious to learn more. That could be good. So yeah, Midnight Suns, that looks pretty cool. Oh yes, Call of Duty Vanguard. They showed the campaign off for the first time. They showed basically a level of it and a pretty extensive gameplay. It looked pretty good. You're playing this this woman character, which was cool. You got a woman lead in the spotlight, at least for part of the levels. I mean, it was Call of Duty. I mean, it looked, graphically, it looked really good. Some of the new... I haven't really followed Call of Duty since, like, Modern Warfare 2. I don't even think I played Modern Warfare 3. But, like, Black Ops and all those, I just never really played them. But this one, I don't know if other ones before this did it, but, like, they have this sort of... like wall climbing mechanic where you see these bricks that stick out of the buildings. You can kind of climb and shimmy and climb up and stuff. They did that a few times throughout the demo. So that, I don't know if that's new to this game, but it's new to me because I hadn't seen that in other Call of Duty games from what I've played. But if you're into a Call of Duty, I kind of wish that they had they have all these Call of Duty deals on Steam even, and if you wanted to buy them all, it's like $500 on sale. I kind of wish they just had like a Call of Duty single player pack. Like, if I don't care about the multiplayer, give me like a Call of Duty campaign bundle. Yeah, maybe it'll be couple $100 or something. But like, I just want to, I don't really care about the multiplayer. I wouldn't mind just having, because a lot of these campaigns are 8-10 hours, give or take, maybe a little bit more. I wouldn't mind just having the single player portion. I kind of wish you could separate some of that and just for the people who just want the story side, that would be kind of a cool thing to do. So Call of Duty, Halo Infinite, they showed this intro cutscene for the multiplayer because it's going to have seasons and I guess the story progresses to some extent. There's this lady, I don't remember her name, but she's kind of the head of this, as you're one of these Spartans. She's like your Spartan leader person. I don't know. I mean, I might check out Halo multiplayer, but I'm curious. But multiplayer is just, I don't have time to devote a lot to that these days, so we'll see. Oh yes, Midnight Fight Express. This is a game that was made by one dude, coming out next year, and it's kind of an overhead, more overhead, maybe slightly isometric, but like it's pretty brutal. It's like I said, it's kind of overhead, but it's really like actiony. You're fighting dudes, picking up weapons. Sometimes you're shooting, but it just seems to be really over the top, kind of violent, a little gory. But I'm intrigued. It looked kind of neat. A lot of craziness going on, but I mean the fact that the amount that people can create just with like one person these days is phenomenal. It's pretty cool, and I'm glad they got to showcase a really small title like that. Here's where we get to the sad part. They had a new trailer, which was great, but it sounds like TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, is not coming out until sometime in 2022. Boo! I was hoping it would be this year. But they showed some new gameplay, which honestly looks really crazy, especially, I'm wondering if you're playing solo, you don't have all four turtles in, if it's going to be a little less chaotic, because I was watching going, this looks really cool, but I could kind of see myself losing where my character is, because there's just so much frenetic action going on. But the main thing that they sort of teased in there, they showed, is April can be a playable fighter, and so she was kicking some ass. And apparently, if you use pizzas strategically, you can actually revive downed allies, I guess. So that's a thing. I'm just really curious what this is going to be. I mean, I love brawlers, I love beat 'em ups, I love Ninja Turtles, I love Turtles in Time is still one of, if not my favorite brawler ever. So yeah, I am very hopeful that this is going to be a good game. But I'm sad I don't get to play it this year. I mean, there's plenty more to play, but I love me some Turtles. I was hoping that would be a little indie treat this fall, but oh well. Oh yes, the Monkey Ball. This actually looks kind of cool. They focused a lot on the multiplayer. Of course, it's going to have single player levels from like the first 2 or 3 games, but they've narrowed it to. I mean, they have a lot of the mini games that were there, like Monkey Target, which in the first game was amazing. Me and my friends played that on the big screen TV in college. But they had a lot of sports things in there. So you had like monkey tennis and bowling and soccer, and I don't even remember what else there was. But I mean, there was just a bunch of them, and they look pretty fun. And I don't know if you can play against AI in addition to other people. But the core part of the game, the mazes part, they're cool. But man, are they hard! Man, are they hard! I was never good at it. I could beat like the first world, but then you get into the second, third areas. Ooh, a little rough. But it looks really sharp, in HD, and that's coming out soon. So they covered that. What else do we got? Oh, Splitgate. This is one again. It's a free to play, I think. And it's out in some form on Steam right now. And it's a first-person shooter. They have team games. I think they've got a free-for-all mode. But like it's a first-person shooter, but then you have portals. So it's kind of combining action with your 2 portals sort of thing. You can set up portals and then warp between different parts of the map, or sit behind a portal and then put the other one somewhere, and then basically use that as like a weird window to shoot people. Like you could put it where, there's a bunch of guys that usually come through here, so you could put a portal there and then run away, set up another portal, and then shoot through the portal and kill the guys that keep filtering into that other area. I mean, there's some neat possibilities. I've watched some gameplay of it. And it's one of those that I really should just get around to trying to see if I can see well enough to play it or see if I'm halfway decent enough. But it looks kind of neat, actually. Splitgate. So they're doing some new content for that. I mentioned this already, but Riders Republic, they have a open beta going on right now. I thought it was supposed to come out early September, but it must have gotten pushed back because it's like, what is it, October 28th now? I've seen a couple of videos lately on IGN as well. They posted a few, and it just looks really fun. Like biking around these, out down these hills and paths and out through the wilderness. You got wingsuits. You've got like skiing or snowboarding. You're these like weird jet ski thing. I mean, not a jet ski in water, but like these jet things that propel you forward. And I don't know. It just looks really fun. Like even if I don't really do a lot of racing head to head online, there should be some single player content and just even riding around and cruising through these environments seems like fun to me. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, coming out spring next year. That looks pretty cool. I mean, it's basically all 9 episodes. They actually have voice, like the early Lego Star Wars games, they had charm. I played some of them back in the day. I think I own them on Steam. But they didn't have voice acting. It was kind of just all like emotive, like, gestures and little grunts here and there. But it was, they were almost like kind of little parodies. But they're going more your higher production value. And they have a lot of variety. They have on foot, they have vehicle missions, flying missions. It showed a bunch of that. They've always sort of had that. It is one that I'm kind of interested in trying out because it seems like with the 9 movies, there's going to be a lot of content there. So that should be a fun one to look at eventually next year. What else do we got? Oh yeah, Synced Off Planet. I guess I think it is out in some form. I don't know if I've even really heard of it or I don't remember anything about it. Some kind of an action game or shooter-ish thing. It looked kind of neat. I think it's third person. I really didn't quite get much of a clue based on the footage that they had showed. But it looks like it might be third person. Might be something to try to look into at some point, though. Oh yes, Outlast Trials. I liked the first Outlast quite a bit. Couldn't get into Outlast 2 near as much. I wanted to, but I just for some reason really didn't. But this one is, I guess, you're in some sort of like facility, and you're this test subject volunteers, and you can play 1 to 4 people, and like, it's a really messed up sort of like, oh, no, we're not doing Portal trials. No, we're doing like people are trying to murder you trials. And I don't know. I mean, it looks like you're running away. It looks like there's things you can throw at them to stun them. I don't really know quite what the flow of gameplay is going to be like for this one, but I'm intrigued. But it's supposed to be coming out next year at some point. Wouldn't surprise me if it was like next fall or something. So that's Outlast. I don't know how to say this, like Dokev, D-O-K, is it Eevee, I think? I don't know if I spelled that right. It's this Korean... I don't know what the hell this game is. It's bright, it's colorful, it actually the graphics on it look really good. But it's kind of like part action and like part Pokemon kind of a thing. Like you're capturing creatures, but then you're like flying around, gliding, and then like going around on like skateboards. And they showed a pretty good, like, I mean, this was like solid. They showed just a lot of gameplay. And it just looked weird. Like, it definitely looked more action-y than something like a Pokemon. At least that's the impression that I got. Third person, of course. And then there were parts where they were, like I said, on a skateboard. There were parts where they were in like this little car thing. It was just weird. Like, I had no clue as to really what was happening in that trailer, but it just looked bizarre enough to go like, yeah, I could kind of see looking into this and at least just seeing what the heck it is in more detail. But I'd never heard of that one before. What else do we got? Oh, yes, Jurassic World 2. I forgot, I didn't get the release date on that. I know they said it, but I didn't see it in time. I mean, if you like the park sim kind of games, I mean, especially Jurassic Park, you'll probably like this. It looked really, graphics looked really good. Park Beyond, speaking of theme parks, then they went into this other one where you can kind of create all these like roller coasters and almost sort of like a, theme park roller coaster tycoon kind of a thing. But it looked, excuse me, it looked pretty crazy though. I think it was PC and next gen consoles. That should be out sometime in the next year or two. That looked kind of neat. Oh yes, Jet, The Far Shore. It's coming out in, I want to say September or October, I forget, this year. I'm not quite sure what to think of this game. My main issue with it, regardless, is that it's spoken dialogue, but it's in another language, and I don't know that they're going to have an English dub option. So if it's something I really want to get for the story, it's going to be kind of like the Yakuza games again, to be like, well, I don't know if I'm really going to play that because I'm going to miss out on the dialogue because I don't read the subtitles quickly enough. So we'll see what becomes of that, but that was a thing. They did a quick chat about Horizon Forbidden West, which got delayed till next year. But it looks good. I'm kind of curious what that's going to be like. New World. This is that Amazon RPG that, I don't know. I mean, I don't have time to devote to an MMO RPG like that. And then I heard about a month or so ago that some NVIDIA cards, it was like GeForce 3090s or something, it was bricking for a while, so that's not good. Hopefully they got that resolved, but yeah, I mean, it's an MMO. If you're into that kind of a thing, cool. I guess some people really like it, but like I said, that's the entire genre that I just don't have time for right now. I barely have time to play the crap I already own. So there is that. I forget the name of it, but there's a Marvel mobile game out today, and I got to admit, I kind of just dismiss it because anytime I hear mobile, what do I think of? Bunch of bullshit microtransactions and pay to win and loot boxes and timers and everything I hate about gaming. Everything I hate about modern gaming seems to spring from mobile, and I can almost guarantee you that it's going to have a pretty good subset of those things at least. Just because everything is games as a service, and on mobile, people don't really want to pay up front to buy a game. So you're probably going to have to buy things and, random things to get, either random cards or things to get heroes, or, I mean, I don't know, I'm speculating, but judging by how all of these other mobile games go, especially for popular franchises, until I hear otherwise, I really have no interest in looking at it. I know it's not going to be voiceover accessible for one, and like I said, I can already smell the microtransactions and other junk I just mentioned that I hate about modern gaming. So we'll just scooch right past that one for now. And Tales of Arise, there's a demo of that out apparently right now, which I might download because I liked a couple of the other Tales games. I haven't played them all, but like Tales of Symphonia, I think I played through Vesperia. Tales of Symphonia 2, I think I had beaten, and I haven't. I don't know if I played. I played a little bit of Tales of Fantasia, but never got very far into that. But this one almost seems to be more like 3D instead of the 2D that they've usually been, as far as like the battle. But the thing I like about the Tales series is that traditionally you've gone into these battle screens, but instead of it being turn-based, you controlled one character, and you had action moves. So you could do like a slash, slash, slash kind of a thing, or then you could assign different abilities that you learn. So like down and attack would do this, forward and attack would do a different attack, or a different skill. So it was just more actiony. It was more fun, and that's why actually the first one I played of those was Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, and I didn't mind it. And I played a couple more, like I said, so I might check out that demo just to see what it's like. And then, in addition to Tales of Arise, I forget the name of it. I saw it, but I forgot to write it down. There is also a mobile Tales game coming out. And again, RPG, character unlocks, skill progression. I can already see it. I can already smell the microtransactions, or the timers, or the loot boxes, the random, did I get the character I wanted? Did I get the item that I wanted? So, again, until I hear otherwise, I'm just dismissing it because I really have no desire to support that sort of, I have no desire to support that sort of monetary model, you know? I mean, I don't have a problem paying. I've always said I don't have a problem paying for games. And even if I start free and then, maybe I pay to unlock like an ad-free version, or I buy like Sortie Quest, I bought a couple items and I bought to unlock the new realm, that's fine. Like, you're essentially unlocking, major content, but random stuff and to avoid timers and loot boxes and just all these, like I said, I think they design a monetary scheme first and then just throw together some sort of a popular franchise around it and go, oh, sure, this is a Tales game. Oh, sure, this is a, I don't know, Final Fantasy game, or this is a whatever. Oh, this is WWE, or this is whatever it is. And they just, here's your monetization. And that happens to have some gameplay mechanics. I know, I'm being a little cynical about that, but I'm just really tired of it. I am. Moving on, some kind of Jumanji game. I didn't really get to see. I was busy doing a couple of things for work, so I just caught the very end of this. I don't exactly know what that is, if it's a actual board game or if it's like a computery game, or like a video game. I didn't really catch what that was, but there's some sort of Jumanji thing coming out. Then they talked about Core a little bit, and I downloaded it when it came out, and earlier this year. It's on the Epic Games Store, and it's a neat idea. Again, I just haven't had time. I haven't really had time to sift through and look to see what people have made. Basically, it's on the Epic Store, and using the Unreal Engine and like some of these tools, so where you don't really have to code if you don't want to, people can kind of make, their own game. There's been a number of these types of things, from anything from like Little Big Planet to, what's the Nintendo one that came out earlier this year? That one, or what was the Xbox one that they had? I very briefly poked at it one time. I looked, and they have made an official Conquer level or something like that, and I can't remember what it was called, but I don't think it's even around anymore. But yeah, I don't know, the Unreal one, it looks kind of neat, so I'll have to check out these Core and see what kind of games that people have been making in there. Age of Empires 4, that's coming out, I think, in September, so they did a little spiel on that. Genshin Impact, more updates, and they're going to have this Aloy character. So a lot of this crossover event. Again, Genshin Impact wasn't too bad. I did a video on it. I don't remember if I released it yet or not. It actually does have some okay gameplay. The gameplay itself is fine. I can't wrap my head around all of the weird materials that you need, and this converts into that material, and that unlocks this, and you need so many of these to do that. And I'm like, and then there's some randomness about what, to get the characters and to get the resources that you need to unlock certain things. And again, it's just one of those things I don't have the time or the desire to really put in the time needed to really flesh out my character or my account in that kind of a game. But I gotta say, Genshin Impact is one of the better ones. Like, if they could kind of streamline and make the UI make a little bit more sense, it's not too bad. Like, the actual action gameplay was not too bad. I actually had fun with it for a little while. I played it for a fair few hours, so that one isn't too bad. Sifu coming out next year. That was one that also got delayed. This game I'm genuinely interested in. It's like this third-person kind of brawler, but it's more 3D. It's not like the belt scrolling, classic brawlers like Final Fight, Turtles in Time. It's more 3D. And usually, every time they've done that, like Final Fight did one in 3D, there was a few other ones like in the PS2 N64 days that were really bad. But this one looks really good. Like, I do want to play it. And I think, if I remember correctly, 2/22/02, they finally gave us a release date for it. So I will most likely be checking that out on ye olde PS5 next year. And finally, Death Stranding, the director's cut, basically their Ultimate Edition sort of a spiel. It looks, I don't know, I mean, it looked like it added more interesting things to it. More kind of quality of life or convenience features to make some of the travel easier. Some more action-y things, some more stealth things. I don't know. I don't know if I would get into Death Stranding or not. It just looks... Excuse me, I'm just really tired all of a sudden. It just looks weird. Not necessarily in a bad way, but... I don't know. If I caught it on a deep sale or something, I might eventually check it out. But like I said, there's so many other things that I want to get around to playing that it's just not super high on my priority list. It's Kojima being weird, basically. And if you love that, you'll probably love this update. But like I said, what they showed actually looked kind of interesting because it seemed to add more like kind of gameplay and more convenience things, and they have like new activities and races and just different things that you can do. And I know I didn't cover everything. There were a few things that I was either busy working or I just forgot to write down or I missed. So that's basically a rundown of what they had at the Gamescom opening stream that they did. They're going to have, I guess, some other announcements over the next few days. So maybe we'll get some other things that we weren't expecting. But largely, a lot of it was titles we already knew about. We got some theoretical solid release dates on a few things. Sifu and like the Jurassic Park game, a couple other things I forget. I mean, they covered the story trailer of Far Cry 6. They did that as well. But there you go, guys. Another long video, but like I said, a lot to cover. A lot of things happening on the channel. Going to be keeping busy. Going to hopefully do some more streams on the weekend. We'll see what happens there. I'd like to check out these new Doom maps. Heck yeah, accessible Doom maps. Lots of other things that I want to either return to or try out. I want to maybe try some of this Quake Remastered on a stream at some point. But like I said, there's so many things. Covering Switch games, even finding time to record some of that. We have the Game Accessibility Conference, which I have officially registered for, October 11th and 12th. You can register as well if you want to for free. Very, very much looking forward to that. You know, oh, and then of course I forgot around the Halo. Speaking of consoles, Microsoft during their Halo Infinite time, they talked about there's the 20th anniversary of Halo. God, I'm old. And to celebrate that, they're releasing not only a new controller that you can get, but a limited edition Xbox One or Xbox Series X console. Just for fun, I tried to load the Xbox website, and it didn't even load. It just gave me like some sorry message. I wonder if I loaded it right now. Xbox.com. Does it still give me the sorry message? Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Xbox.com. That can't be good. I don't know. XBOX.com. Yeah, it's just not up. I don't know. So, people can't get consoles as it is. So, yeah. That's the funny thing is we're going to get another limited release console.
Hello and welcome to...
And if you thought that getting the regular one was hard, you're probably going to have even a harder time getting this one. And the people that do get it are just going to scalp the damn thing. So I hope Microsoft has some sort of plan to combat that a little bit. Like maybe, you have to tie it to your gamer tag to order or something. And then, to prove that you're a human, prove that you actually want the thing. Kind of the way that, God, who did that recently? Oh, it was the Steam, Steam when they did their initial semi-pre-order thing. Like you put $5 down. I wish more places would do that. And Xbox or Sony, they could totally do that type of thing. So yeah, anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting the channel, supporting the streams, have been dropping in. Thank you very much. That's been really cool. You can also follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, Twitter @BGFH79, and right here on YouTube. So until next time, I will chat with you guys again later.